Hello friends, so today I'll be reviewing these two, the Zeiss 100mm f2 Makro Planar and the Sigma 105 f2.8 image stabilized macro lens as well. And my findings might actually very surprise you, because I was genuinely surprised. I didn't expect the results to be the way they are. So the first part, I'll just do a quick intro, then I'll roll some sample footage. I have filmed quite a few things that I thought that would be real life important to film in a filmmaking type of scenario. So in terms of the intro, there's not much to introduce. This lens has been regarded as one of the best, sharpest 100mm macro, not really a macro, but I'll explain that later, lenses that you can get. They go for about 600-700 euro, pounds, about the same for $1 now. The Sigma is a poor man's choice. That thing goes for about 150-200 pounds, euros, dollars. It's so funny how it's all the same now almost. And why would anybody go for 100mm? Is quite simple. The focal length is actually very convenient in cinematography, because it gives you that distance that you want from the subjects that you're trying to capture in the macro type of style. And at the same time, it can double as a short telephoto for portraits. I didn't do any sample footage for portrait stuff, just I couldn't be bothered to go outside today because it's about 40 degrees in United Kingdom, record high temperatures, and I'm sweating here already. Oh my god. But yeah, both lenses are well enough constructed. The Sigma is polycarbonate shell, well, fancy plastic in a sense, and I don't feel like it's any worse or better than the Zeiss, even though Zeiss is a full metal body. The only thing is, neither one of them I think are very weatherproof, but on top of that, Zeiss helicoid body design, basically the entire body extends when you are focusing, has more than one entry points where I could see dirt, dust or rain to go into, so I definitely wouldn't use that in extreme weather or for travel personally. Where Sigma is, I don't know, it just almost looks better built. So both lenses have 9 aperture blades that are supposedly curved, and I filmed some nighttime city skylines, so you can have a look for yourselves. I'll just roll the sample footage and you'll see most of them will be Zeiss at f2 wide open, and then Zeiss matched to the Sigma because Sigma is at 2.8, and then side by side, so you can see what is what. Also, when I say that the frame is the angle is matched to the Zeiss lens, what I meant is that the tripod and the camera was locked in the same position, but I just switched the lens. So have a look for yourselves, and I'll be back after the sample footage. So hopefully YouTube didn't butcher the footage completely and you'll be able to see that there is actually almost no perceivable difference between the two. Zeiss has a little bit of a bluish green tint, and Sigma is a little bit warmer. Zeiss is a little bit better with the vignetting, but it's not really an issue for me, at least not for what I would be using that, which is extreme macro shots. Also, I would say Zeiss has a little bit better resolution, but that's only visible if you're pixel peeping, and in reality they're both designed for digital sensors, so they're actually surpassing most of the digital cameras and able to resolve about 6K, and probably wouldn't push further than 6K, but they're really great for what they are. So in terms of chromatic aberrations, I was actually very surprised. Both for chromatic aberrations and bokeh rendering, I believe that Sigma did better. I mean, yes, it all very dependent on how far is the subject from you, because one bad thing the Sigma had was when you're close focusing, like really extreme close, you can see the aperture blades actually closing up a bit. So it shouldn't be technically called 2.8 all the way through. It's 2.82, depending if you are close focusing, that the aperture is reducing a little bit. But I see that behavior in all the macro lenses so far, like real macro lenses. And that's one of the differences between the Zeiss and the Sigma. Sigma can get a lot closer than Zeiss. And for me, only that would be a massive advantage, because I would have much more usability out of that ability of going really one-to-one close macro. So in terms of focus racking, I know that Zeiss is regarded some of the best that you can get for manual focus lenses, but unfortunately it's not very usable for a couple of reasons. For me personally, it's way too much focus throw. It's just like you keep going and going and going and going. I mean, it's hard to demonstrate now, but on camera it's really not that easy to do. The other thing is, if you were to attach any focus gears, the problem is that this part stays stationary, but as soon as you zoom in, this barrel that has knurling is also moving together. So not really doable. So that's a no-go for me in that sense. And Sigma is actually, it has a fairly long focus throw for a, you know, internally focusing lens, but it's still pretty decent. It's don't get me wrong, it is easier to get a focus done right with this critical focus, where it's a bit harder with this. But if I have to do rack focusing, I actually prefer this, just because, there you go. So I can actually do that by hand and shake camera less, just because I don't have to twist myself all the way down, you know? So there you go. So what are my conclusions? Long story short, I'll be keeping the Sigma and sending the Zeiss back for all the reasons that I mentioned before, which is that Sigma is more comfortable to focus, Sigma has better color in my opinion, better bokeh, ultimately gets a lot closer to the subject, which is true macro, and above all, it's 3 to 4 times cheaper than the Zeiss. So it's completely no-brainer. And if you're considering one, I would seriously consider the Sigma, just because why would you spend more money for something that performs almost as good and in some areas better than something that costs 3 to 4 times more. Oh, and I don't think I mentioned that the Sigma comes with the image stabilization. I tried a little bit. It's pretty decent. I don't think you can do handheld extreme macro, but you could maybe get away with doing some stuff with the monopod, but I didn't use in any of the tests because I was always tripod locked. So yeah, I really enjoyed this test. I know a lot of people, when they do macro tests, they're saying like it's really enjoyable experience to see the world from that close up, and I must agree. And I can actually imagine myself using that a lot in any of the filmmaking projects I might think of, or even gear reviews. So there you go. Yeah, total winner for me. Not a total loser, but definitely way overpriced for what it can deliver compared to that. And yeah, that's the stories. As you can probably see, it is really hot, so I'll finish this up and not drag it any longer than it has to. I'll see you in the next one.